Planter boxes are the #1 hot selling item right now. Today I am going to be covering a few top asked questions and covering a few tips to help you guys make a ton of money this planter box season. The best time to start is about a month before the warmer weather kicks in. And you are running behind if you haven't made a few planters before the big box stores start displaying flowers. I live in the Midwest, but if you live somewhere with warmer weather, these times may be tweaked. And maybe you can sell planter boxes year-round. Lucky ducks. Marketing. Obviously, most of these builds are going to be too large to ship, so the most strategic approach is to market them locally. You can approach a few local-owned nurseries and flower shops. They can buy your boxes at a discount or allow you to sell them independently for a small commission. Another option is to have them display a photo with pricing of each, telling customers how to get a hold of you. Although, if they sell planter boxes, they probably don't want your planter boxes around. If you live in a small town like myself, you can display each of your planter options with pricing in your yard. I found this method of selling to be not great, but it has gotten a few knocks on my door. My primary selling hotspot is Facebook Marketplace, and Facebook Marketplace. I'm getting real tired of the "is this available" pokes, because that happens about every 15 minutes. I make 2 or 3 of each box in case I'm busy or I get a clump of orders in one day, so I don't feel like I'm being rushed. That being said, any custom requested boxes or orders over $300, I do request a deposit. I mainly request payment up front because Facebook be so flaky. I mainly make the 6 planter boxes that I've shared with you guys, so if someone skips out, it's not really a big deal. Well, for me, it's because now that I have shared my plans, exact copies of my planter boxes are popping up all over the tri-state area. There are a lot of reasons as to why your planter box sales might be a little slow. You can't simply pop them in your front yard and expect a ton of interest. Again, I sell mine on Facebook Marketplace, and they are displayed at a flower junction. Okay, mine are listed on Facebook Marketplace, and they're still not selling. It could be how you present your boxes. My photos are staged growing vegetables and flowers and include information about the construction and where they are built. Each has clear pricing on the photo, and it's not buried in a 5,000-word essay underneath. People don't read. The 6th word is where my location is, and it's always the very next question. Where are you located? You also need to have a general understanding of your area's demographic for pricing, which brings me to my next question. Your pricing will depend on, again, your area's demographic. How much are people willing to pay for your boxes? How much are you paying for your boxes? How much are your pickets? Mine are only $3.28, and I get a discount on top of that. And then, are other people selling these planter boxes around? Do you have other competition? And how much do you value your time? Pricing for my boxes in 2024 are as followed. The 3-picket planter is $30. The bench is $60. The 4x4 post with a pine 4x4, $100. The long box is $100. The trio set sold as a set is $90, or they can buy just that longer box by itself, because that one is a very popular option, for $40 by itself. The pyramid planter I did jack up to $120. I did that just because I don't keep that wood on hand, so it's a special trip for me. And frankly, after making 13 of them, I'd rather just build the cedar picket planters because they're easier and the scraps are easier to get rid of. In the description, there is a link so you guys can download all of the photos I use in my listings, since we are using the exact same boxes. And I have removed my pricing, so if you guys wanted to adjust that accordingly, they are listed as Box A, Box B, Box C. That kind of helps with the communication stage to the customer, and then you can just list the pricing in the description or put it on the picture if you have a little bit of photo editing background. I bought my pickets from Lowe's. They were $3.28. At the start of the season, they're a little cheaper. Into season, they go up to $4.68, $4.98 once people actually begin to build fences. So definitely grab them now. I did just have a full skid delivered. I was a little more committed this year than last year. So I did buy 450 pickets, had them delivered. So you get a full banded skid that has not been touched by anybody, hasn't been picked through. It is all yours. You still get a few bad boards in there, and I just return those and exchange them for different boards next time I go to Lowe's. When you're at the big box store shopping for these items, I generally skip going to the actual shelf that's been picked through 300,000 times and just go straight to their contractor desk or their pro desk and tell them, hey, do you have any in the flex or bullpen? That's the two key words there. And that is where they actually keep a bunch of this product. So that's where my pallet came from because it never touched the sales floor. And that is generally only for associates, and that's where the associates pull orders for contractors or deliveries. So that's where the good pickets are. So ask for that. The bullpen flex section. That's where the good pickets are. Generally under lock and key. I generally just stay away from cold bodies of water. Shrinkage occurs when you bring home the boards, they're sloppy wet, and then you throw your project together anyway, and once it dries and that moisture leaves the board, it makes everything a wee bit smaller, and it'll create these gaps. Now, these gaps were actually created because my boards are cupping, and that's why there is a gap there. I should have flipped them around, and I didn't. So, another tip, watch the direction that your boards are cupping. I stack them in my garage with a scrap cross piece in between every 30 pickets or so, and put a box fan pointing at them for the first 48 hours. You can use larger scraps to replace anything that has a larger split or a knot in it, or any just boards that look kind of gross when you're getting ready to put them onto the project, or if you happen to make a mistake. But mistakes? You? Me? No, you don't make mistakes. I've also built this tiny little adorable planter box from scraps. This is really just a prop, but people have asked about it. You could build them to put like succulents or something to that nature inside of. I also use leftovers to write customer information on. Then I shoot a nail into the board and hang it on a planter for them to pick up. And the nail doesn't actually go into the planter box. It just kind of hooks onto the top. Nails and glue. That's not a question. Yes, I use nails and glue. I use an 18 gauge Bostitch 1-inch nail. They are not galvanized. This is a box that I had made 2 years ago. That's why it looks like it's in black and white compared to my newer box. And there is no signs of drippage or rust spots. Nothing that these nails have done. So again, just a Bostitch 18 gauge nail, not galvanized. Just the nails that I use. 1 inch, make sure that you get into the piece without actually blowing through the back of your other pieces. It's the nails I use. As for glue, I do use a Titebond 3 Ultimate. It is their only exterior waterproof glue. And apparently you can also use a Gorilla Glue. They make an exterior waterproof glue as well. I hear a lot of that going on in the forums. But I just choose to use a Titebond Ultimate. I buy the bigger jug and then refill the smaller jug once it's empty. I leave my boards all natural. Cedar is naturally weather protected. It won't warp, decay, mildew, mold, won't do any of that. Bugs, insects, they don't like it. Half the reason I do the cedar picket hustle is because by filling the garage with that nice, just delicious cedary smell, the bugs don't move in once summertime begins. If you guys are going to paint stain or clear coat your boxes, especially if you are going to paint them, definitely charge extra because your labor is going to take pretty close to 1.5 times or 2 times longer than if you just threw this box together and sold it to somebody. Now, that being said, I keep my boxes like this. I don't put a clear coat on there. The clear coat option is $5 extra no matter which box they pick out. It's just really for me to open the window, shove all my air hose outside to get it to my backyard, and bada bing. I have my own sprayer I got from Harbor Freight. It's $15. I leave this in it till the end of the season, and then I throw it in the trash because I hate cleaning them out. Hate cleaning out sprayers so much because I can never do it perfect, especially if there's paint in them. If your customer doesn't want any sort of clear coat UV protection on their boxes, this is what they're going to look like in about 1.5 to 2 years. That reddish brown hue is going to leave the box, and it's going to become this kind of grayed silver metallic color. Some people prefer that. It looks more weathered than your cedar. Other people prefer to keep them in that cedar look. And to keep that, you will have to apply a water seal or a UV protectant about every year, 1.5 years, so that it keeps its reddish hue. Now, if you guys don't own a compressor and you think one of these bad boys is going to get your Thompson's water seal sprayed out, it does not. Now, I put this into here. I pumped it up as many times as I possibly could to get the highest pressure, Went out, gave her a squeeze, and it just... It just kind of squirts out like you had it in a ketchup bottle. It's never going to get to a mist consistency to where you'd be able to spray your boxes in a consistent manner. So this does not work. You can thin out your Thompson's water seal. There are things you can add to it, additives you can put in there. I don't know what they are offhand. You could Google them. I don't like thinning it out. I like to keep it as strong as possible because then that's less times a year I have to spray the boxes. I've seen a few boxes where they leave the legs and top as rough cut cedar and they sand this interior so it kind of accents. I've also seen where they take the legs and top and they will paint those. So they paint those black and then leave the cedar how it is. That's a super cool looking box. There are different options you could go about just having versus having a plain Jane. I do not use liners. I recommend putting a garden fabric or even just a trash bag inside before you put the dirt, just so you don't see it up in the top. And that's just because when your dirt clump becomes a hard lump inside the box, it leaves a crack around the outside. And when you put the hose on there and you think that you're watering the soil, it's actually just running down the sides to the bottom and draining out through the gaps or the drain holes. So I recommend using, even like I said, a thicker trash bag. If you wanted to install it and staple it underneath this lip before you install the lip, you can. However, then I'm not able to glue this surface down. And a lot of people will try to pick the boxes up from this lip. That's why I glue and nail the lips. But if they want to put a trash bag inside of it or they want to put a liner inside of it, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, so keep the price tag.
No, it's definitely about the price tag. If people aren't paying you, they're going to turn the lights. Oh, now we have no lights.
Keep the cars, leave me the garage.